Attitude is not what happens to us, but how we respond. This simple line holds the power to transform the way we experience life, because the truth is we have very little control over the events around us. Life is unpredictable. Sometimes it gives us what we want, sometimes it gives us what we never expected, and sometimes it takes away what we value most. The common tendency is to believe that our happiness, peace of mind, or success depends on external situations, but in reality, the quality of our life is shaped by how we choose to interpret and respond to those situations. The same event can look like a disaster to one person and an opportunity to another, and this difference is entirely created by attitude. Imagine you are walking in the rain. One person may complain, "This is terrible, I will get wet, my day is ruined." Another person might stretch out his arms and say, "What a blessing, I get to enjoy nature." The rain is the same, but the experience is completely different. When we believe that life controls our happiness, we are giving away our power. Think about it. If every time something goes wrong we get frustrated or angry, we are making our peace dependent on the outside world. That means if the traffic is bad, we suffer. If people disagree with us, we suffer. If plans fail, we suffer. But if we shift our focus from what happens to how we respond, suddenly we reclaim control. In traffic, instead of honking and complaining, we can listen to an audiobook, reflect on our day, or simply practice patience. When someone criticizes us, we can either feel hurt and offended, or we can see it as feedback to improve, or even as a chance to build resilience. The choice is always ours, and this choice is what defines attitude. Attitude is like a filter placed on the lens of the mind. If the filter is dark and negative, then no matter how beautiful the world is, everything looks gloomy. If the filter is bright and hopeful, then even difficult situations have something to teach us. There was once a story about two prisoners who looked out of the same cell window. One saw mud, the other saw stars. The circumstances were identical, but one man lived in despair while the other found inspiration. This story is a powerful reminder that our external world is only half the reality. The other half is the world we create inside. And the bridge between these two worlds is attitude. Attitude also shapes how people see us. When we carry a complaining, negative mindset, people feel drained around us. They avoid our company because negativity spreads quickly. But when we carry a positive and constructive outlook, we become a source of energy. People are naturally drawn to someone who can remain calm in chaos, smile in difficulty, and find solutions instead of problems. This not only builds stronger relationships, but also opens doors in our career and personal life. Employers, friends, and family all value those who can handle challenges with grace rather than panic. One of the most liberating realizations is that attitude is always a choice. We may not be able to choose the weather, the economy, or the behavior of others, but we can choose whether to complain or adapt, whether to frown or smile, whether to give up or persevere. Every time life tests us, we are given an invisible pen to write the story of our response. That story is more important than the event itself, because while the event may fade, the story we tell ourselves remains with us and shapes our future. Therefore, when we say that attitude is not what happens to us, but how we respond, we are not just describing a concept. We are describing the key that unlocks peace, success, and resilience in every stage of life. Positive attitude turns challenges into opportunities. Every single person on this planet faces challenges, struggles, and obstacles at some point in life. No one is free from difficulties. The difference lies not in the presence or absence of problems, but in the perspective with which those problems are faced. A negative mindset sees difficulties as walls, barriers that cannot be crossed. It feels helpless, defeated, and paralyzed by fear. On the other hand, a positive attitude sees the same wall as a stepping stone, something to climb on, something to learn from, something that leads to growth. This does not mean the challenge becomes easy, but it means the person facing it has the inner strength to turn it into an opportunity. When the world throws storms, some people build shelters, and some build windmills to generate energy. The storm is the same, but the outcomes are different because of attitude. Think of an athlete who suffers an injury. To some, that injury is the end of their career. They sink into despair, asking, "Why me?" But others use that same injury as a chance to train smarter, to focus on parts of their body they never gave attention to, or to develop mental strength they never thought they had. In many cases, those athletes come back stronger, not just physically, but mentally tougher, more disciplined, and more determined. What seemed like a setback becomes the very reason they rise to greater heights. This is the beauty of a positive attitude. It turns pain into purpose. In the same way, think about failures in life. A failed exam, a lost job, or a broken relationship can either crush a person or build them. With negativity, the failure is final. With positivity, the failure is feedback. Every mistake becomes a teacher. Every fall becomes a lesson. Every loss becomes a reminder to value what truly matters. The greatest inventors, leaders, and thinkers did not succeed in one attempt. They failed repeatedly, but instead of seeing failure as the end, they embraced it as a path to discovery. That is why a positive attitude is not about ignoring pain or pretending everything is perfect. It is about believing that every difficulty carries a seed of opportunity, waiting to be discovered by those who have the eyes to see. Life is full of examples of people who turn challenges into opportunities through their mindset. A student who struggles financially can let that struggle discourage him, or he can use it to become more resourceful, hardworking, and determined to create a better future. A business owner facing loss can close down in fear, or he can explore new ways, new ideas, and new markets that he would never have thought of otherwise. Many of the world's biggest innovations were born out of crises. When resources are limited, when the situation is tough, the human mind becomes more creative, more focused, and more resilient. The trigger for that creativity is not just the challenge itself, but the positive attitude that chooses to see possibility where others see impossibility. Even on a personal level, challenges test character. A positive attitude teaches patience, empathy, and gratitude. When someone faces illness, they can either live in constant sorrow, or they can discover the value of health, relationships, and time in a way they never did before. That discovery is an opportunity for deeper living. Similarly, when facing criticism, instead of reacting with anger, one can see it as a chance to improve, to reflect, to grow in humility. Every situation, no matter how difficult, can be turned into a teacher. The only condition is the lens we use to look at it, and that lens is called attitude. Our happiness depends more on attitude than circumstances. Many people spend their entire lives chasing after the perfect situation, believing that if everything outside falls into place, then happiness will automatically follow. They wait for the perfect job, the perfect relationship, the perfect amount of money, the perfect home, and only then they allow themselves to feel content. But the truth is, circumstances are never fully under our control. The world is unpredictable, people change, plans fail, and life throws surprises that we never saw coming. If happiness depended on all circumstances aligning perfectly, then nobody on this earth would ever be happy. Yet we see people with little wealth living joyfully, and people with great riches feeling miserable. The difference is not in circumstances, but in attitude. Attitude acts as the foundation upon which happiness is built. When someone carries a grateful attitude, even the smallest blessing feels large. They can wake up, see the sunrise, sip a simple cup of tea, and feel a sense of contentment. Another person living in luxury can wake up in a mansion, drink the most expensive coffee, yet complain about traffic, complain about people, complain about life, and feel miserable inside. The outer world may be grand, but the inner world is empty. This shows clearly that happiness is not a product of what we have, but of how we see what we have. Gratitude is one of the strongest forms of positive attitude, and it transforms ordinary life into an extraordinary experience. Consider two people who lose their job at the same time. One may drown in self-pity, telling themselves that life is unfair, blaming the world and closing doors to opportunities. The other may say, "This is difficult, but maybe it is a chance to explore something new." That second person may start a small business, learn new skills, or discover a hidden passion. Losing the job was painful for both, but the attitude of one made him bitter, while the attitude of the other made him better. Circumstances were the same, but happiness and growth followed the one who chose hope over despair. Another powerful example comes from relationships. Some people enter relationships with the idea that the other person is responsible for making them happy. They expect perfection, constant attention, and zero mistakes. When those expectations are not met, they feel hurt and disappointed. But others approach relationships with the attitude of giving rather than only receiving. They see flaws as natural, misunderstandings as opportunities for communication, and differences as chances to grow together. The relationship is not free from problems, but their happiness does not collapse with every disagreement, because they built it on the attitude of understanding rather than the demand for perfection. Even health teaches us this truth. People who suffer from illness often say that their attitude determines their experience more than the illness itself. Some choose to complain endlessly and feel hopeless, while others decide to cherish each day, spread smiles, and make the most of whatever energy they have. Medical studies also show that a positive attitude improves recovery and resilience. Again, it is not just the body that shapes the mind, but the mind that influences the way the body heals. Happiness, therefore, is not just about what happens in life, but how we decide to engage with what happens. If we always connect happiness to circumstances, we will forever live like a puppet, controlled by strings outside us. But when we cultivate a positive, grateful, and hopeful attitude, we cut those strings and hold happiness within ourselves. A sunny day, a rainy day, success or failure, gain or loss, all of them can coexist with inner peace if the attitude is right. This is why true happiness is born from inside, and the soil that nourishes it is not circumstances, but the attitude we choose every single day.